What's up, family? Today we're working on a 2007 Honda Pilot LX. Um, I am working on this issue that I had with the axle or CV joint seal that goes right there at the transfer case. As you can see that there, I was leaking oil out of there. And I replaced this one. It went away for a little bit. Then the shaft popped out and it was leaking a bunch of oil. Got that taken care of. And then the other one, this is the driver's side. Then my one on the passenger side started doing the same thing. So we're working on it today. So I removed this one just to make sure everything was okay. And then I'm working on the other side. Just quite a little bit of a pain to get that axle out on the other side. Okay, here's the passenger side on the front, and as you can see, that's way in there. There's the cat converter, which sits right in between that and the engine block, making it very difficult to get to other hardware. And then, unlike the other side, this one is the passenger side has two pieces, and one of them mounts right here to where my flashlight is flickering. That bracket sits there, and then there's a heat shield to protect the rubber boot from the cat converter heat. So it's interesting to get it. So you have to go at it from underneath the car, kind of like down here, and then make sure you use a bunch of extensions, the ones that have the wiggle head that you can move around. For the bracket, you have 3 14 mils like this. 2 of them have this little dowel look to the top. Those are the top, the one closer to the tire, I believe. And then this one here, this has a different look. It goes underneath, and I know it goes underneath because it's got the most damage to the head trying to get to it. These two are from the top. I have to look at it. Just make sure you keep track of your bolts. That's 14, and then the heat shield comes out. There's 12s, 3 12s. So here are both of the CV joints. That's your driver's side. This is your passenger side. And like I said before, you have your typical CV joint length, and then you have this little shaft here. And then this is the bracket I was talking about, where you mount. It fastens to those holes I was using my flashlight to show. And then these are your bolts for your heat shield. This was very hard to get out. I had to just wiggle it around because the heat shield won't slide out, giving you room to do this. So you have to take this shield off, and then you can move it forward and backwards so you can get to your big holes here. Once you do that, then you can, I was able to use, my buddy lent me an air hammer, which I hit here, hit the axle with it because I couldn't get this any leverage on this. So I used that hammer to just hit this, and not even hitting it out, just creating the vibration, and that thing just slid out by itself. So that was great. So it's a great tool to have. Now I'm getting ready to put this back. I am gonna replace that seal and get this going again. So what I'm thinking is I'm going to actually use that hammer to separate these two, and then once I have these two separated, I believe it will be easier for me to just install this by itself and then put this by itself, and I don't have to worry about, you know, all the lack of room. So let's get to that. So here are your part numbers from Honda. I kept the first one. This is your driver's side. Driver's side part number from Honda for the seal that goes at the crankcase, or the transfer case rather, and that's the last point where the transfer case meets the CV joint. This is your passenger side, and you can take those part numbers there so you make sure you have what you need for that job. Here's the hammer I was talking about. So you put this little baby there. Unfortunately, my fitting down here is not the same, but I'm still able to just hold the hose up to it and get enough air to get that to work. So this is a great tool to have. I put this right here and then just went to it, and it took about 5 seconds, and that slid right out. This is the heat shield I was talking about. So that would look like this if your head is looking at the front of the car. So if you're underneath with your feet kind of dangling out the front here, and you're looking forward at the back of the engine, this is how this is gonna look. So it'll be like this, right? So this is your axle boot goes under here. So what I did, I went ahead and took a little chunk off of that corner there with my angle grinder, so I can have a little bit of room to put the bolt that goes right underneath that hole for that bracket. So I took a little bit off of that, and I'm going to take a little bit off this corner up here too. As you see, I started getting that cut just so I can get a little more room. I'm hoping that gives me a little room to work now. All right, as far as getting to this, so you want to take your tire out, take your tire off to the side. You'll have this assembly here hanging, so you have 2 bolts where that goes right here. So before you get that done, make sure you get your brake line removed, 12 mil, your ABS sensor removed, which I screwed up on the first time I did this, and I left it there and started yanking on things, and boom, I ripped my my sensor out. Make sure you get those loose. So then on the back of the wheel hub here, you have 2 bolts. I want to say they're 20, maybe 17s. No, they're 22 mil back here. Those hold your caliper in place. So your caliper will be here like this, right? So you have 1 pad in the back, 1 in the front. Take those 2 right off of there. That will give you access to move that. You move that out the way, make sure you don't let it hang. So I put a bucket here. On the other side, I have a wire hanger hanging from my struts and then tied up to the caliper, so that way it doesn't create pressure on the hose. Once you remove that, then you come up and take I apologize guys, this is for this here, for the knuckle here. So 17 mil is for what attaches that to the strut. Then this one here is 14, let's see, these are gonna be 17s. So your knuckles for the caliper 17 mil, and then 22 for the big ones. Then once you have that out, you can leave that loose, and then in here in the middle right there, that spline there is where your CV joint goes to. So that's gonna be a 30, that's gonna be a 36 mil. I picked that up from Avanzado last time I used it. So not being sponsored by them, just mention where I got it from. I will get this way ahead of time. Like, get all your tools from where you need it, so you can get them online for cheaper. Then you don't have to pay an arm and a leg when you go, if you have to go to the store. So that's gonna be for your the holes right here. Some of them are pinched in, so you can try to remove that with a flathead screwdriver. Hit it from the inside out, get that undone, then hit this nut, and you're gonna loosen your axle or your CV joint from there, and then you push it through. But once you get this release, it's when you're gonna be able to get all the way out. So you kind of just loosen it, get that caliper out of the way, get this done, and then maybe turn your wheel whichever way. I'm thinking away from the car, so like you're making a right turn on this side, and then you push that CV joint through and out. Then reverse order. Just make sure you put everything nice and tight, push it all the way in, so you don't have any leaks. As far as for the seal itself down there, the easiest way to get to that is carefully, if you don't have a pick to pick at it from the center of the seal, you can use a screwdriver, a flathead as leverage, and you'll get, with that screwdriver, this is, so the hole faces in, so this will be looking like this. So you don't want to put it with the hole face, with the ridge, that ridge in the middle there facing out. There's also like a spring, like a little, you see that goes all the way around. It's like a hair tie pretty much, but it's just a spring that goes in. So put a little bit of grease on the edge of it, and then put it in slightly, just meet it, and then you can use, if you have a socket that's big enough, that's not gonna damage it, to push it back in, or you can use the end of an extension, and then you can just tap at it, lightly all around until you get it all the way seated. Make sure you're not rough with it, because you will break it. Once you get everything back in place, just make sure you check your fluids. If you're leaking a lot of oil like this one was, then you want to go back and check your transmission fluid level. For me, it's right there, and then the fill is back here. It's like a 17 or something like that. It's right up on the top. There's a big nut. So make sure you can you get everything back in place where it needs to be, your levels of transmission fluid, so you have no issues. All right, if you have any questions, just ask on the comment box, and I'll try to respond the best I can.